we are diving into one of the most complex and widely discussed geopolitical conflicts of our time, the Taiwan-China conflict. Before World War II, Taiwan belonged to China, but the population did not want to be a part of Mao's system of communism, so Taiwan became a refuge for the nationalist government after their defeat by the communists. And Taiwan doesn't see itself being a part of the Chinese government.
在这里，我要重申，台湾绝不会接受一国两制，绝大多数台湾民意也坚决反对一国两制，而这也是台湾共识。
As Taiwan transformed into a prosperous democracy, its identity increasingly diverged from mainland China. Despite economic and social ties, Beijing maintained its stance that Taiwan belongs to China.
祖国完全统一一定要实现，也一定能够实现。
China continues to push for reunification, while many in Taiwan seek to maintain their distinct political and cultural identity, which is non-communist. The story of Taiwan-China relations is ongoing, marked by a complex interplay of history, politics, and identity. And maybe the only reason why Taiwan is independent is the USA. As much as we hope that no war breaks out between China and the USA regarding the Taiwan conflict, there is clear evidence that China is forcing the conquering of Taiwan, as Xi Jinping explained in his plans. And one main reason why China does not attack Taiwan is the Strait of Malacca. If a conflict breaks out between China and the US, the United States would immediately close the Strait of Malacca and heavily damage the economy of China. This action would bring a catastrophe for globalization and for China's population, because China doesn't have any other oil supplies but from Qatar. Now there is a possibility on how China could prevent that problem, and this is simply by the Russian and Chinese friendship. Russia supplies much more oil to China than previously on the attack on Ukraine, so if China reaches the same amount of oil which it gets from Qatar for now, from Russia, there could be a possibility that China could no longer be dependent on the Strait of Malacca and direct its forces on the US. But there's one question. Is there a possibility that China could no longer be dependent on oil from the Middle East? China's need of oil cannot be fulfilled by Russia, because firstly, Russia supplies other countries too, so it cannot supply China's economy as a whole. Secondly, China's agreements are in long-term conditions, so it is impossible to break these conditions just to prevent this strait. And the final point is Siberia. It is almost impossible to create pipelines to provide China's whole economy with oil because of these heavily difficult conditions in this region, so the possibility of avoiding the Strait of Malacca for now is impossible to realize for China. China is watching the Ukraine conflict with keen interest. The international response to Russia's actions, ranging from sanctions to military support for Ukraine, provides China with insights into how the world might react to a similar situation involving Taiwan. If China perceives the global response to Ukraine as weak or divided, it could embolden its stance towards Taiwan. Taiwan, on the other hand, is using the Ukraine conflict as a case to study its own defense and its international alliances. The Taiwanese government has increased its military readiness and is seeking stronger ties with allies, particularly with the US and with other democratic nations in the Asia-Pacific region. In the long term, the Ukraine conflict may lead to a recalibration of global power dynamics. The situation serves as a reminder of the fragile nature of the international peace and the importance of robust international alliances. Taiwan's future will likely be shaped by how effectively it can leverage its global support and enhance its own defense capabilities. In summary, the conflict in Ukraine is having a profound influence on the situation in Taiwan, from shifting geopolitical alliances to strategic military planning, the ripple effects are significant. As we watch these developments unfold, it's crucial to understand the interconnected nature of global events and their implications for regional stability. The immediate impact will be felt in the semiconductor industry. Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors and around 90% of the advanced chips. An attack or severe disruption would halt production, causing a ripple effect across all industries dependent on these chips, from smartphones and computers to cars and even military equipment. The global supply chain would face challenges. Companies relying on just-in-time manufacturing would struggle to find alternatives. The shortage of semiconductors would force tech companies to delay product launches, reduce manufacturing volumes, and increase prices for customers. Geopolitically, a conflict could trigger significant shifts. Countries might reconsider their tech dependencies and push for more domestic production. The US and its allies could increase support for Taiwan, leading to tensions with China, possibly resulting in a new Cold War dynamic in tech. Long term, the tech industry might see a reconfiguration. Companies could invest in diversifying their manufacturing bases, spreading out to eliminate risks. Innovation could slow down temporarily due to the upheaval, but new tech hubs might emerge as a result of the shift. In summary, a conflict between China and Taiwan would have profound and far-reaching effects on the global IT industry. From immediate supply chain disruptions to long-term geopolitical shifts, the world of technology would never be the same. As we watch these developments, it's crucial to understand the stakes and prepare for a more resilient tech future. But there is one question: would the United States really attack China for the sake of Taiwan?
But would U.S. forces defend the island?
Yes, if in fact there was an unprecedented attack.
To be clear, sir, U.S. forces, U.S. men and women, would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion.
Yes.
Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?
Yes.
The red line, as I say, is actually the only reason why China is constantly trying to provocate a retreat from the US in the South Chinese Sea and to test the sensitivity of the United States. The US red line strategy in the Pacific is designed to prevent China from achieving unchecked naval dominance in this region. This strategy involves a combination of forward deployed naval forces, strategic alliances, and the positioning of key military assets. The goal is to create a deterrence framework that makes it clear to China that any aggressive moves will be met with a decisive response. The US built this chain after World War II, when Japan surrendered. Back in time, it wasn't a big problem for China because the threat of Japan was eliminated. But after China was getting stronger and stronger, it had built an aggressive foreign policy towards the US and wants to challenge this chain. China has been rapidly expanding its naval capabilities, aiming to project power far beyond its regional waters. This expansion includes the development of advanced warships, submarines, and aircraft carriers. China's growing naval power is a direct message to the existing balance of the power in the Pacific, posing a potential threat to the interests of the USA and its allies. The US, with its massive bases and aircraft carriers, are holding China back and are the keepers of peace in Taiwan. Several key locations play a crucial role in this strategy. Bases in Guam, Japan, and other parts in the Pacific enable the US to project over and respond quickly to any threats. Additionally, freedom of navigation operations in the South China Sea challenge China's territorial claims and reinforce international maritime law. Military operations from the US and its capabilities are preventing China to operate there. The US has 11 airplane carriers and China has only 2, one from the Soviet Union and a new one which is just completed. A successful attack on Taiwan would also strengthen Chinese influence globally. As China consolidates power in the region, its model of extreme governance could gain traction, challenging the liberal democratic order that has dominated the post-World War II era. This shift could also lead to increased suppression of human rights and democratic freedoms worldwide. Thank you all for watching, and I will be very happy if you leave a like or a comment so I can improve my videos. Until then, have a good day.